Here, let's talk about the games happened on the 5th, Wednesday, January 5th. The first game is the Charlotte Hornets beating the Detroit Pistons 141-11. Hornets, they've been struggling a little bit, getting all the guys back with COVID. So, may take them a while to get ramp up again. And Detroit, they got their guys back too. Cade Cunningham, Killian Hayes. But due to the blowout, nobody really played high minutes. Cade Cunningham played all right. He should have a pretty good finish, counting stats-wise in fantasy. But you just got to watch out for the turnovers and low field goal. Killian Hayes, you could stream him for assists and steals always. Trey Lyles at 17 points, 7 rebounds, and an assist. He's going to have a little bit value before Isaiah Stewart comes back, but Isaiah Stewart is going to come back. And if Isaiah Stewart is out there on the waiver wire, I would still grab him. He could give you pretty good rebound and blocks. But everything else is really not there. Hamidou Diallo, 23 minutes. Yeah, if his value is close to an end. But just ride with him for a few more games. See where things go. And Sadiq Bey also did not have the best game. Nobody played huge minutes on this Detroit team due to the blowout. For the Charlotte Hornets, it's actually the same thing due to the blowout. Nobody really played high minutes. You have a bunch of those, all these guys getting 5 to 6 minutes. Those minutes would have gone to the starters. Who really stands out here? LaMelo Ball has been struggling a little bit. I would, to me, he's still like a top 10, top 15 type of player. Just because in fantasy, his game, he just brings everything. Assists, steals, blocks. Really good free throw shooter as well. The only thing is turnovers and low field goal. Everything else is really, really good with him. Terry Rozier has been playing all right. He's a guy that if you can do a 1-for-1 for a top 50, you always do it. Otherwise, it's just hold. Gordon Hayward and Miles Bridges both had 19 points and really nothing else. But collectively, they scored 140 points. And one of the big reasons is Kyrie BACK Jr. Without the guys back, he only got 23 minutes. Still put up 16 shots. He's kind of like Jordan Clarkson type of player. But his free throw, you got to watch out for his free throw. He probably gets more defensive stats than Jordan Clarkson. So if you need points and threes, he could be a stream, but not a must roster. If he can get any value back, he still finds himself a nice role on this team. Coming off the bench, getting around 25 minutes a night. But there will be some nights where he's gonna score like 5 points on 2 for 13 shooting with nothing else and bad percentages. Those games gonna come. Let's go to the next game. The Philadelphia Sixers beat the Orlando Magic 116-106. Matisse Thybulle out. Danny Green came in, played 24 minutes, and I remember him did this a while ago too. You could still stream him for defense, but this is gonna happen every once in a while. Tobias Harris played huge minutes, 44 minutes. I don't know why. And Furkan Korkmaz got 40. I know Tyrese Maxey was out this game, but Doc Rivers just decided to give the starters extra 5-6 minutes. Just really run them to the ground, to be honest. But pretty good. 2 steals, 2 blocks. One of his best games of the season. Joel Embiid just continue beasting. And if you add up Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond minutes, it's over 48. So that means they were on the court for a little bit this game, which is pretty wild. Having Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond on the team. Both... I don't know how, in that case, Joel Embiid can operate in the post. That makes it pretty tough. But both had a really good team. Andre Drummond is a good streamer. 8 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block in 18 minutes. Still very, very solid. If you pounding points, threes, and free throw, he give you all the big man stats and can get a bunch of steals. And we see here 18 minutes. He can grab you 8 rebounds in 18 minutes a night for sure. So you still have, at the end of the day, he still have some streaming value. Seth Curry played 42 minutes. Probably a sell high. 12 assists. He won't do it again this season. For the Magic, they also got a couple guys back. Cole Anthony came back, but right away I think he hurt his ankle again. But he came back, so it looks like it's not the biggest deal. So that's great. Played just 25 minutes. But with everybody out, he should be the number 1 guy on this team and have a top 40 player. Really good points, and he's a guy that can grab a lot of rebounds as well. if he can increase his defensive numbers, then he'll move even higher. But obviously right now Magic, they don't really have anybody, so he's gonna have a bigger usage, 21 shots, a lot of assists. I wonder what happens when Jalen Suggs and Markelle Fultz eventually is gonna come back as well. I don't know what's gonna happen with the minutes, but I do know Garrett Harris, when those guys come back, he's gonna have zero value. He's been playing fairly well. You could still stream him in the short term. Got 35 minutes here. Mo Bamba had 5 fouls, 28 minutes. Had a great game. 2 steals and 2 blocks, 8 rebounds. Majority of his value coming from his blocks. This is a really nice game from him. Wendell Carter Jr. fouled out in 23 minutes. Would you believe that? He was a big sell high with everybody out. Now with everybody back, yeah, he's still gonna be like 80-90 type of player. He grab a lot of rebounds. That's the only thing he's good at. He's not gonna get a lot of block shots. He's not gonna shoot a really high percentage. Franz Wagner, with all the guys back, if you try to sell high on him, congrats. With Cole Anthony around, he's gonna give you 15 points, but everything else is just a little bit there. Not a huge rebound, assist, steals, blocks. Fairly efficient, and give you some points. That's it. So if the usage is not there, he won't be close to like top 50, 60, more like 90, 100, that type of player. Which is still good. You want a roster. But yeah, he was a bit sell high before. The next game is the Rockets beat the Washington Wizards 114-111. Kevin Porter Jr. hit a 3 to win it. And Wizards, another game winner. It's just really bad, losing back-to-back games like this. Not great. But Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood both returned. Both played okay. Kevin Porter Jr., just look at the percentages. 1 for 4 from the free throw line, 3 for 13, 4 turnovers. And then you look at the positives, 8 assists and 4 steals. If you got Russell Westbrook, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got to have Kevin Porter Jr. Good stuff from him, counting stat-wise. But he's going to neutralize all his value by giving you bad efficiencies. So just be aware of that for sure. He's not for everybody for sure. If you got him, you want to get some value back, try to look for a team that's pounding a couple of efficiency categories and try to see if you can make a trade. Jalen Green, 22 points, 2 threes, and good percentages. But again, he's not a guy that does anything else. Like, just look at the stat. He's going to give you points and threes, which is good. But, a lot of people compare him to Anthony Edwards last year. Anthony Edwards was getting steals and blocks in his rookie season. Jalen Green is not. So that's a huge difference. You go from a 2-category guy, points and threes, to now of sudden 4 categories. Because Anthony Edwards could give you really good steals, can give you really good, decent blocks as a guard. So yeah, Christian Wood, double at his free throws. So hopefully no more drama. Guys just gonna continue ball. Eric Gordon still started. This lineup, I don't know how much sense it makes, but with all the guys back, he's not. Well, he still did play 32 minutes. I think they must be trying to trade him by the trade deadline, showcasing what he got at this point. There's really no reason to play him. Jae'Sean Tate, 32 minutes, and an alright game, 10 rebounds. He could also be roster getting 30+ minutes on this team. And Garrison Matthews, we could all just drop him. With all the guys back, he won't be getting 30 minutes a night and really hurt his value. For the Wizards, Danny Advia is a guy that we could stream, be getting a lot of defensive stats. 0 this game, surprisingly, when you against Kevin Porter Jr. But yeah, Kyle Kuzma, keep it going, 24 points. Definitely a sell high. Missed all his threes, a steal and a block. But his rankings will never be good. Guys like this, their ranking will never be good. In the last 2 weeks, despite how well he played, he's just 72nd ranked player. Big reason is he's shooting 70%. Like a bad free throw, 70% free throw shooter on 6 attempts. That's just really hard. Like, if you're pounding free throws, he was top 50 in the last 2 weeks. So you just got to be careful when you have him. You got to think about pounding free throws. And we know he's not a guy that get a lot of defensive stats either. But if you're looking for points and rebounds and some threes, he can give you that. Daniel Gafford. Thomas Bryant might be back. So we don't know and obviously Montrezl Harrell's still out. He had 4 fouls in 20 minutes. He's still going to have value, but I'll look to try to sell high on him. Because when all the guys back, he's not going to And look at KCP start going off. 40 minutes. A big reason maybe Bradley Beal only played 30 because he also fouled out. So KCP went off. 3 steals, 2 blocks, 26. Yeah, 5 threes. If you can get KCP for any value, do a 2-for-1. Try to sell him. And he obviously won't do this very often. And Ron Nato came off the bench, played 32 minutes. Big reason is, Spencer Dinwiddie was out. Once Spencer Dinwiddie comes back, I think Danny Edwards is going to go back to the bench. Spencer Dinwiddie is going to be the point guard. And let's see how he plays with Bradley Beal, because both guys are playing super well without each other. So let's see. Let's look at the next game. The San Antonio Spurs beat the Celtics. Just a mess. They got beaten by the Spurs. I guess Devontae Murray came back, put up a huge line right away. 22 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds, 3 steals. Can't say enough about this guy. Top 15, top 20, rest of the way. 18th ranked player. Can't say enough. The guy has been super good all season. Super consistent. And with Devontae Murray back, Derrick White is going to lose some value, especially the number of assists he gets, because Murray will be running the offense. He only had 2 assists here, but 2 blocks, 17 points, 3 threes is still good. Jakob Poeltl, 14 rebounds. A pretty good Jakob Poeltl game, and the minutes is high, which I like, 35 minutes. While Devin Vassell needs to be rostered as long as he's getting 30 minutes. The defensive upside is always there and can grab some rebounds and a fairly efficient shooter. And if you're punting assist, a great guy to have. Keldon Johnson, points and rebounds, like a worse version of Kyle Kuzma. So that tells you how good he is in category leagues. Let's look at the Boston Celtics. They lost to a really bad Spurs team on paper, supposedly. Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, with all the guys back, Josh Richardson has been playing very well, but now he's coming with the bench. So if you got him, you could drop him. Robert Williams, a steal, 2 blocks, 6 points, good stuff from him. Just we just need a bit more consistency. He's been balling in the last 2 weeks. That game against the Phoenix Suns, he really went off. Had a triple-double. He was a 16th ranked player. He's going to be up and down. Try to sell him if you can get a top 20 player. Because when he has it going, his stat look really good. 12 rebounds and 3 blocks a game in the last 2 weeks. But the next week he could have very well averaged like 1 block and play 20 minutes a night. Big men like this, they're just so very, very volatile. Try to see if you can do a trade 2-for-1 to get like a top 20, 30 player. Otherwise, just hold. Jaylen Brown, 30 points, 2 steals and a block. I would really try to sell Jaylen Brown high. A bit injury prone this season. Maybe he could be healthy rest of the way. But Celtics collectively, they're not playing well. And just Tatum and Jaylen Brown having a very, very subpar season, especially their shooting numbers. Last year, Jason Tatum has always been pretty good. Last year, Jaylen Brown was pretty good efficiency-wise. 59th ranked player, shooting 45%, 45-46. He was 77% from the free throw line is good for Jaylen. But if you can get a top 40 player, I would. Smart. The defensive stats just keep coming in. 14 points, 6 assists, 3 steals and a block. Pretty good. And Dennis Schroeder is close to drop. Let's see how many minutes he get the next few games. If he's just gonna get 25 minutes tonight, I don't think he's a must roster. We can move on, man. Although he provides good free throw points and assist, you just have to move on from him if he played 25 minutes. Let's talk about the next team, the Brooklyn Nets. The big news: Kyrie Irving is back, and they were down this game for a big chunk of time, and they pulled it out behind KD, who played 41, just ridiculous 41 minutes. And Harden also played 40. At Spurs, they started David Duke Jr. played 70 minutes. So they're just experimenting different lineups, to be honest with you. One game they started Aldridge. This game Patty Mills came off the bench but still played 35 minutes. They need Patty Mills to be that catch and shoot that works pretty well when you're playing alongside KD and Harden. We're gonna be a liability on the defensive side, so we could still have Patty Mills. But if Kyrie Irving is playing, Kyrie does a lot of ISO ball, so it's nobody else is eating other than him. Because then that way Harden or KD is not getting assists either. KD obviously a monster game, 39 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. Really is the reason why they came back. Kyrie first came back, took 17 field goals, 22 points. 3 steals and a block is really good. But yeah, not a bad debut. And in some weeks, if Nets at home, you could maybe get 3 games out of Kyrie. So good to see him back. And we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe he will get vaxxed. We don't know. Harden played 40 minutes. Not the best game. Maybe just trying to adjust on how to play with Kyrie. Might take them a couple games to figure it out. But, a subpar game for Harden. Let's look at the Pacers. They were still without everybody. But guys would be pretty close. Justin Holiday, thought he would be a good stream. The past 2 games was pretty rough. You could just move on from him. And the guys are coming back anyways. Miles Turner, 1 steal and 5 blocks. Probably blocked Harden a ton. Yeah, a good game. 5 blocks for Miles. It was really good. Sabonis made his free throw at 85%. But no defensive stats. He's a bit sell high, to be honest. With Brogdon out, everything goes through him. Another triple-double. But maybe do a 2-for-1 to see if we can get a top 10 player. I don't know. Sabonis' rankings this is the type of guy that you would really hard to sell high because first of all, he's drafted pretty early. So if you're gonna sell him, you're looking at like a top 10, 15 player, right? But ranking wise, he's bad because of free throw. So when you try to sell him, you gotta try to sell him to a team with bad free throws, and then they look at him and potentially like a top 10 player. Otherwise, yeah, I would try to do those type of trades. If not, just try to sell him. And Kiefer Sykes and Dwayne Washington Jr. Both guys played huge minutes. Didn't really put up huge lines due to having 0 defense. But Lance Stevenson is the guy who went off. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just, I think it's a mirage. It's just 1 game. He won't able to replicate it. But the guy does play better in the bigger moments against a team like Nets. If they play some team like the Sacramento Kings, maybe he just go back to being bad. The next game, the Golden State Warriors lost to the Mavericks. Curry has been in a shooting slump, big shooting slump. I would try to buy low, top 3 player in my opinion. Clay is going to be back, but I don't think Clay being back is going to impact Curry too much. So, if I can trade LeBron to get Curry, I still would do it. I don't think too much. Curry, 14 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Yeah, not the best game. He'll be better than this. He also hurt his knee, so he may be out tonight and maybe miss 1 or 2 games. We don't know. But we know Clay's going to be back on Sunday. Gary Payton Jr., we could continue streaming him, but when Clay comes back, Clay's going to start. So he's going to lose all of his value. Andrew Wiggins keep rolling. If you're pounding free throws, he's really great. He's really great. In the last 2 weeks, another 1 for 4. Why can't this guy hit free throw? 108th ranked player, shooting 56% from the free throw line on 4.5 attempts. Let's see if we pound free throws. Where is Wiggins? But yeah, let's see. 26th ranked player. If you're pounding free throws, that's actually insane. I didn't expect him to be this good. Averaging 21 points. Main thing is he averaged 2 steals in the last 2 weeks, shooting 50%. So those are pretty good numbers for Wiggins. And I think over the next year, if you're gonna draft him, it's fine. But think about pounding free throws, because it's just you're having a guy that's shooting 70% on your team. It's just hard to compete with the elite free throw shooting teams. So you might as well just pound them. Draymond Green didn't score 2 points, but 2 steals and a block. is okay, but pretty bad game from Draymond, to be honest. Only 4 assists. Because when Curry is struggling, when Curry only make 5 field goals, you're not gonna get a lot of assists out of Draymond. So he'll be better. And Jordan Poole, I want to hold on to him. He was pretty bad this game. A -21. I mean, all the bench guys played pretty bad. So I would hold on to him. Give him. I still think when Clay comes back, he's gonna have like a close to 30-minute role on this team. So I just want to hold. I want to hold. I want to see what happens. I don't want to drop him too early. For the Mavericks, Dorian Finney-Smith had a decent game, 17 points and 9 rebounds with 2 blocks. Hit 4 threes as well. He's just a nice end of your bench guy. Not a lot of counting stats, but can provide like a little bit of everything. Maxi Kleber, Porzingis is still out. I mean, they called it a rest, but they Monday's game was a rest because it was a back-to-back. So I don't know. Porzingis, guys like this, they just mysteriously sit out. Oh shoot, sorry. He got placed into the COVID protocol. Sorry about that. I think the Monday's game was a rest. So he's gonna be out for a few more games. So Maxi Kleber is a pickup. He went 1 for 9 here, but he should have 30+ minutes. Have some upside in the next 2-3 games. If you like that. Jalen Brunson with Doncic back. He still needs to be rostered, but the points, the assists are not gonna be that great. Luka, again, bad efficiency-wise, 7 for 18. But he's been getting a lot of steals. I think he had 4 steals on Monday, 2 steals here. But in category leagues, he's pretty horrible. You got to pound so many categories. 60 ranked player in 9 category leagues. You got to pound free throws. You got to pound turnovers with Luka. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 14 points on 2 threes. That's all he is. Let's look at the next game. The Toronto Raptors beat the Milwaukee Bucks. This is a great win for the Raptors. And they got all their guys back. Scotty Barnes, 5 personal fouls, 4 turnovers. Without the guys back, we know Scotty Barnes is going to struggle putting up the numbers he was putting up. Only took 6 shots here, while Siakam took 23. My God. Siakam is now getting to sell high territory. He's been so good lately, averaging like 25 points and 10 rebounds and getting a lot of defensive stats. So he's a top 50 player. If you can get a top 20, top 25, top 30 player, if you can do Siakam plus somebody to get LaMelo Ball, who's been struggling, I would try to do that. If you can get a Jason Tatum, I would try to do that. You got to be watch out for his field goal. But Siakam has been really, really good. He was out a lot beginning of the season. Now he's back and really balling out. Took 23 field goals as well. OG took just 10 shots, but had 22 points. No defensive stats. With OG, I think majority of his value is coming from the steals and some efficiencies. He was playing fairly well, probably a bit sell high before this game. But like this game, all the guys' minutes is back up again. Like Fred VanVleet played 37, 38. So the last 2 games, the low minutes is just due to blowouts, right? They played huge minutes again, which is good for fantasy, Can't deny that. Gary Trent did not have a steal, 22 points and 3 threes. Should be a top 50 player, to be honest. Even better if you pounding assist. The steals. Let's see if we can sustain the 2.0 steals. It will be hard. Maybe the rest of the way he's like 1.5, 1.6, which still makes him a top 50. Like if he can get average 1.56 steals the rest of the way, he's still like a top 50 player. Fred VanVleet, 19 points, 5 threes. Not the best game, but had 2 steals in the block. So that's okay. And Chris Boucher, I think we can move on from him. All the starters getting the minutes. Just 14 minutes here. I think we can move on and not look back. And if guys get injured again, I think it will, because Siakam, OG, they get injured a lot. I think this season for sure. I think especially Siakam, he's been in and out of the lineup a lot. For the Bucks, well, I guess Giannis didn't play, so this wasn't like an insane performance from the Raptors. Chris Middleton with Giannis out scored 25 points. Good stuff. A steal and 2 blocks. He needs to do more, even when Giannis is playing. Just be a bit more aggressive instead of just playing in the flow of the game. Maybe he can just be aggressive, look for his own shot, so he can put up better numbers for his fantasy owners. Wesley Matthews got the start, not really fantasy relevant. Bobby Portis fouled out. He's still a must roster, but lately he's fallen off a cliff. If you sold high on him, that's great. Jordan Nwora also got 40 minutes. But Giannis is going to be back. He has a non-COVID related illness. He gets sick a lot for a guy that's scary. He gets sick a lot. Jrue Holiday struggled with his shot, had 8 turnovers, but ended up getting 12 assists, 1 steal, and 3 blocks. He's been insane lately. Just keep it going. Keep it going. All right, let's go to the next game. The Oklahoma City Thunder they didn't beat the Milwaukee. 90-98. They lost. But they welcome Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back. I think it was they said he was placed into the COVID protocol on Sunday, and then 2 days later, he was off the injury report. So that's definitely a false positive. Same thing with Larry Nance Jr., who got a positive test and then tested later and turned negative, and he was able to play. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know are they doing PCR test? How do you have I don't know, false positives? I don't know the science, but Shai did not get COVID. Came back, played pretty bad. 19 points, 5 assists. 7 from the free throw line is nice. But Shai has not been good this season for the most part. And shooting pretty poor percentages. Last year, he was like a 50% field goal guy. This season, he's shooting like 42% on high attempts. That really kills a lot of his value. Hopefully, he will improve. Josh Giddey, keep it going. 15 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal with 14 points. The 6 turnovers is really high, but you live with that. It has been really good the past 2 games. Aaron Wiggins played 37 minutes again. The minutes is high. Maybe he's a guy that we could look to stream, especially if OKC got a good schedule. Darius Bazley is another guy that Jermaine Robinson Earl is no good. Darius Bazley is pretty consistent getting you the defensive stats, especially the blocks. Coming off the bench, playing 25, 26 minutes. So he's a guy you could stream if you need the defensive stats. And with all the guys back, Ty Jerome just played 9 minutes. And Kendrick Williams, don't forget about him. He's been coming off the bench playing 25 minutes. He's a guy that we could always stream if the Thunder's got a good schedule, if they got a back-to-back. Otherwise, if they got a 3-game week, I don't think I want to touch Kendrick Williams. But he does provide really nice, solid numbers across the board in fantasy, multiple categories. For the Timberwolves, they got their full squad back. D'Lo is back, pretty horrible. Buy low. Counting stat-wise, he should give you 18, 19 points and 7 assists. And some threes and some steals and some blocks. This is obviously a bad game. Karl Anthony Towns couldn't stop fouling. 6 fouls, 6 turnovers, 17 and 16 with the 1 steal, decent. Anthony Edwards going off, 5 steals. Probably still got a lot of steals from Josh Giddey, who had 6 turnovers. I love Anthony Edwards. I love the counting stat he brings. If he can be a decent free throw shooter, if he can be an 84, 85, he's already like a top 10, 20 player. That's what he needs. Work on his efficiencies. The counting stats is already pretty solid. Jared Vanderbilt, 13 rebound with the steal and the block. If he pounding points and threes, he's a very good guy to have. Fairly efficient as well. Doesn't turn the ball over and provide those rebounds and defensive stats. And Patrick Beverley, with all the guys back, it's not like he was in foul trouble. I think I want to sell high on this guy. He had 20 points, a steal and a block. In the last 2 weeks with D'Angelo Russell out, He's getting a lot of assists. He's getting a lot of minutes. We still want to have him. Well, just the 75th ranked player. We want to have shooting 35%. We want to have him, but probably want to look to sell him at the same time. Do a 2-for-1. If you can get a top 60, 70 player. Otherwise, you know, he could just be around that 100 ranking wise. And Malik Beasley, Jalen Noel, like these guys, we could all drop them with all the guys back. Jaden McDaniels, they're good fantasy players given the minutes. But now, you know, with guys back, we can't move on from him. The next team is the Utah Jazz beat the Denver Nuggets. And for this Utah team, you know, a lot of guys were out. Rudy Gobert was out. I guess he's the only guy. A lot of guys were questionable coming in, but they all ended up playing. Royce O'Neal had a really nice game in a while. 13 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, stay on the block, and 3 threes, and took 12 field goals. That's more like it. He needs to be more. There's one game. Last week he had 0 field goals. So you can't be doing that. You just have to take those open shots, keep the defense honest. Otherwise, you just become one-dimensional. It's easy for defense to figure out. You know, hey, we don't have to pay attention on him on defense. So good. Bogdanovic, try to sell high on this guy. To me, he's pretty boring, like 90. Like a mini Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield has not been great this season either. He hit some threes, but he doesn't really hit that many threes. He's not like over 3 threes a game guy. More like in the twos. Decent scoring. You know, decent free throw. Usually he doesn't grab any rebounds. Because Rudy Gobert was out, he grabbed a lot of the rebound. With Rudy Gobert absorbs all the rebounds on this Utah team. Gotta get his rebound numbers up. Try to look to sell him. Donovan Mitchell, not the best game. 8 for 22. It's gonna happen from time to time. But he's been really good all season. So gonna give him a pass here. 17 points is not, and a steal. Pretty bad game from him overall. Mike Conley played 30 minutes. Didn't really do anything. He's another guy that I look to trade for a top 50 player. You know, if you traded Mike Conley for Siakam beginning of the season, like that's a pretty good trade. Because Mike Conley's ranking is always pretty high due to having great efficiency and assist. Rudy Gay and Jordan Clarkson, those guys are going to come off the bench and score a bunch. Did exactly that. If you look for points and threes, you could stream either guy, but Jordan Clarkson going to have the priority. For the Denver Nuggets, Will Barton played 38 minutes. Decent game, 20 points. A block, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Aaron Gordon, you know, those are the Denver brothers. Both guys have some efficiency issues, but because of all the injury, make both guys, you gotta roster them and just ride it out. They're gonna provide okay numbers. Jokic, a monster triple double with 2 blocks. He's been underwhelming as well, both him and Curry. Curry is probably worse in the last 2 weeks after this game. Well, 15th ranked player. 15th ranked player. So the big reason is like his field goal this year has not been great, and the free throw also. If he can just get the efficiency back to his old levels, I think he's still the clear number 1 player. Better than LeBron. If you can't get LeBron for Jokic, LeBron plus somebody for Jokic, you have to. That's something you look to do. Austin Rivers, 24 minutes. Yeah, not really interested. And Facu Campazzo played just 20 minutes with Monty Morris back. I'm just gonna hold on to him for 1 more game, see what happens. Are they gonna start him? Are they gonna, monitor the minutes? I think he's gonna have that 25 to 28 minute role. And some nights he'll play 33, some nights he'll play 20. That does happen. Just want to hold on to him, see 1 more game. But if you don't want him, you can move on. They still have 2 more games left this week. So that's up to you. He provides pretty solid steals and assists, and can chip in a block every once in a while because, the strips. All right, let's go to the next game. We got 2 more games. The Miami Heat beat the Portland Trail Blazers. Oh, boy. We're going to talk about Portland. But Miami, Jimmy Butler was out. The guy just sprained his ankle again. Looks like it's not too serious, so he may be back later this week or next week, early next week. Hope but good thing is he's all right. With him out, Caleb Martin is a good stream, even though he didn't do anything here. And PJ Tucker, Omer continues to grab 15 plus rebound every single game, 16 rebound, 14 points, and a block. We're just gonna keep riding him until Bam comes back, which it would be, I don't know, 3 weeks out, 2-3 weeks out still. But he's very, very solid fantasy player, given the opportunity. Max Strauss also came back. With Jimmy Butler out, he was able to, and Duncan Robinson actually came off the bench, played just 60 minutes. I don't know what happened with Duncan Robinson this year. He's just so inconsistent. And as a shooter, I don't know. So he used to be a really good points and three shooter. Now he no longer is. Now he comes off the bench because you have guys coming off the bench. Max Strauss, Kyle Guy taking the minutes away. Pretty sad. Kyle Lowry also. What happened this game? He exited the game with an injury. He's probable. Yeah. So he got hurt middle of the game. Played just 60 minutes. Had 9 assists. That's pretty good. Kyle Lowry has not been good in the last 2 weeks. 161st ranked player. Big reason is he's averaging 4 turnovers and not getting a lot of defensive stats. 8.2 assists is really good. So to me, I look at him as a top 60 player. Top 60 just because the way in category leagues, if you have like 6-7 assists and everything else is okay, you're gonna have like good rankings, right? And Kyle Lowry is a guy that's really good free throw. I mean, his field goal obviously it hurts your field goal, but assist is pretty hard to get, and good stuff from him. Not good stuff. He's been bad in the last 2 weeks, but top 60 player, especially the assist, pretty valuable. Which is why in category league, some teams they just pivot away from trying to win assists at all, just because intuitively, if you win assists, you're gonna lose turnovers as well. For most teams, unless you got like a Chris Paul or Fred VanVleet, those guys dish out a lot of assists and not turning the ball over a lot. So if you have that type of team, you can win. You have the ability to win both assists and turnovers. Then your team is probably elite. But turnovers is hard to say, man. A guy could average 4 turnovers, but some nights, like, I guess the same with like steals and blocks. Just pretty high variance. It's also a pretty high variant stat, and a lot of the times, if you got an efficient team, like if you got an inefficient team with a lot of turnovers, if you have a lot of guys injured, sometimes you win turnovers. Surprise, that's always good. Tyler Hero also played huge minutes with everybody out. Bad efficiency. He's a guy that I look to trade to get a top 70, 60, 50 player. His stat looked pretty good on the outside. The points is hard to get. Some assists, some free throws. Your free throws is also very hard to get on the waiver wire. You're just not going to find guys that consistently hit free throws. But it's just no defensive stats and low field goal is really killing his value. For the Portland Trailblazers, the biggest news is Damien Lillard is the abdominal injury. I think he already had a conversation with the coaching staff on how he wants to move forward. We don't know what's gonna happen. So it really could go to both ways. You either sell him to get any value, or you go buy him. The money is like the probability of him just shut down for the season is pretty high at this point. Pretty high, maybe 70-80%. So, and even if he's playing, I just don't know. I don't see why he wants to keep playing unless he gets traded. There is a small chance, right? He said, "I'm gonna rest. I'm not gonna play," and then a month or two later, whenever the trade deadline is, he may get moved, and then maybe he keep playing. So I think that's a logical. If he stays on the Blazers, I don't see why he wants to play. So for that reason alone, you could throw your worst player at him, maybe a top 100 like Wendell Carter Jr., Fred Wagner, these type of players, right? Tyler Hero, to see if you can get Damian Lillard. And when you do that trade, you just think, hey, I'm just trying to hit the jackpot, or I just lose this player. It's not the end of the world, right? Let's see if the owner bites. If the owner is desperate, who knows, he might take it. Or if the owner thinks, hey, 90% chance I'm not going to get Damien Lillard back, fuck it. Just going to trade him away, get something back. Both could work. We don't know. To be honest, nobody knows. But the thing is, looks like most likely he will just be shut down for the season, which is obviously not ideal if you drafted him. And he's for sure drafting in the first round. That's fantasy for you. What are you going to do? The same thing happened with Kyrie a couple of seasons ago. I think I talked about this. Had the shoulder injury. Just out. Came back, played a couple of games, and out, and just decided to shut down for the season. Yeah, that's fantasy for you. There's nothing you could do. But what you could do is, if it's not too late, you could still pick out Fernie Simons. He's obviously not Damian Lillard, but with Damian Lillard out, he could maybe put up 20 points a game. 20 points here, 7 assists, 2 steals, 5 threes. He's a must-roster guy rest of the season, I think, unless Damian Lillard. Like, the one situation Damian Lillard would have value is Damian Lillard getting traded. Maybe you get Ben Simmons back, but even if you get Ben Simmons, or Fernie Simons would still be a big part of the offense. He would get huge minutes. But Norman Powell, once again, find himself in a situation where he benefits in fantasy. Play 40 minutes here. 26 points and a block, 3 something. If he struggles now, I would even to buy low. I think he's going to be a top 60 player rest of the way. Yusuf Nurkic. With Damian Lillard out, I think CJ McCollum's value also helps whenever he comes back. But why rush this guy back? There's no point. They're not playing to win. Larry Nance Jr. also exit the game. Like, Larry Nance Jr., Nestor Little, Robert Covington, these guys, even though they're not point guards, without Damian Lillard, the coach might just to go with a bigger lineup. At the end of the day, they're just going to play the best players on the team. So without the point guard, you don't necessarily to give all the minutes to a point guard. So, all those guys need to be picked up, and let's see where things go. All right, let's talk about last game of the night. Oh, man, a lot of games. Last night is the Atlanta Hawks, the G League Atlanta Hawks, beat the Sacramento Kings. Trae Young was out this game, and it's almost a no-brainer. You have to stream Delon Wright with Trae out. Give this guy 30 minutes. He's a good player. 2 steals, 15 points, good efficiency everywhere. He needs to be rostered if Trae Young continues to be out. Timothy Lowawu, not so much, even given the 30 minutes. Who played well? Cam Reddish. You could pick up Cam Reddish. If you're pounding field goal, he can give you a bunch of points. And, we've seen it. We have seen it. Like, this guy can put up 30 points with guys out. So, take a look at him. Same thing with Daniel Gallinari. Same thing with Kevin Huerter, who also had a pretty good game. 11 rebounds, 25 points. What's up with Trae? Let me just see. It's questionable. Okay, back soreness. So it looks like he should be back next game. The guy like most is Delon Wright, but with Trae back, he's not gonna have much value. Let's look at the Kings. Always gotta look at Tyrus Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox. Both played great. De'Aaron Fox took 23 field goals, 30 points, 6 assists, and a steal. So okay, he's the last couple games he's been good. So that's great to see. And Tyrus Haliburton also, the minutes is super high for both. It's weird. Sometimes both guys get 30 minutes. Sometimes both guys get 37, 38. I don't know in what situations they get more minutes. But Tyrus Haliburton also just the 2 assists here. That's hurting his value. But 24 points and 3 steals with good efficiency and hit 5 threes. Really good stuff. Damon Jones, I don't think we're really interested in this guy. Even though he starts, he gets the minutes. He doesn't really block shots, right? And he's not a huge rebounder either. Marvin Bagley is a big rebounder. Took all the rebounds. So if you're looking for rebounds, maybe it's easier to just get Marvin Bagley, because both guys don't block shots. Harrison Barnes, another bad game. He's really close to a drop. If you find a better player on the waiver wire who's been, heating up, like if you got like a Lance Jr. or Nassir Little on the waiver wire, I would just drop Harrison Barnes to get those guys who might have good value the rest of the way. Buddy Hield, here we go, 28 minutes. Just keep us keep us interested, right? 28 minutes a night. You cannot drop Buddy if he gets 28 to 30 minutes. Because some nights you get 33. So you just have to hold. The guy makes too many threes. He gets scooped up in your league right away. And that's it for all the games, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.